Welcome to Grand Old Academy, starring all of your favorite characters. You have Jeb Bush. Got Ben. Good old Ben. We got ourselves Ted. We got Rand. Oh, yeah. We got John. Hello. My name is John. Marco Rubio. But you know who we're going after. Donald Trump. Our school. That's me, Maury America. My name's Maury, but people call me America. Here, I'm gonna turn the music up a tiny bit. Dun, 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 dun. Let us start. Grand Old Academy, the most prestigious private boarding school in the United States, rich with history and tradition. The alma mater of hundreds of the world's most powerful men and women. Of course, equality. The type of school that no student could even dream of enrolling unless that they had incredible amounts of talent, connections, or money, preferably. All three. The grandest, the oldest, Grand Old Academy. My new school. That will be 28 even. That'll be 28 even. What? What? You're fair. You owe me $28. Oh, right. Sorry. The taxi driver's words snapped back at me into reality. I suck at reading. The taxi driver's words snapped me back into reality. I was standing in front of my main gate of Grand Old Academy, gazing for the first time upon what was going to be my new home. I looked through the back pocketbook as the cab driver retrieved my two suitcases and set them down on the curb beside me. He slammed my trunk. Oh, that random clunk thunk, that thunk sound just scared me half to death. He slammed the trunk of the cab, the loud metallic thunk making me jump. I took an embarrassing long time to count out $28 from the wad of unfamiliar currency in my hands. Finally, I had the proper amount. I handed it to him with a relieved smile. The driver took the bills, looked over them, and stuffed them in his pockets. I picked up my suitcases and took a deep breath. This was it. The crucial moment. The start of... I glanced over at the driver who was still standing on the curb beside me, looking at me expectantly. My mind began to race. What did he need? Had I done something wrong? Was I forgetting? Oh, a tip. I forgot to tip you. Well, if you insist. You were clearly... I opened my pocketbook again and began scrambling through it. I was so overwhelmed with embarrassment that it took me 3 tries just to get the money out, my clumsy, numb fingers betraying me. I'm sorry. I'm from Japan. We don't tip there. It's considered rude, actually. I just got off the plane this morning. This is my very first time being in the United States, or anywhere outside of Japan, for that matter. You speak really fluent English and your name's America. Hello, I'm from Japan. People call me Maury, but my real name's America. Oh, America. Where in America are you born? Japan. I wasn't even paying attention to what I was saying. My mouth was just acting on its own, replacing the awkward silence with equally awkward chatter. I frantically tried to pick out a $5 bill, but the bills looked the same to me. The scowling green faces of men I didn't looked up at me, disapproving, judgmental. If you can't figure this out, how are we going to survive the academy? They seemed to silently ask me with their own stern frowns. At least, I can't read. At last, I found a bill that had a 5 on it. I quickly handed it to the cab driver, glad to feel free of the gaze of the angry, bearded man on it. The driver seemed a bit taken back. Well, thank you very much, miss. Welcome to America. And as you can hear, the sound of him getting back into his cab. Well, bye. He quickly drove the cab off. I was suddenly struck with the pain of uncertainty. Was that a 5 I just gave him? Or was it a 50? Oh gosh. How do you... I had the feeling that it was going to be a long semester. No dip. Chapter 1. Welcome to the party. I somehow gathered up enough courage to walk through the gate. I emerged into an immaculately manicured quad crisscrossed with busy sidewalks. I had seen pictures of the campus while I was applying, but I still felt a bit overwhelmed. It was so much bigger than I expected. Dozens of students walked by, some striding purposefully, some strolling casually and talking with friends, some dawdling and enjoying the pleasant weather. None of them seemed to take notice of me, which was just fine by me. I was holding one suitcase in each hand, clutching the handles so hard that my knuckles were turning white. I felt as if these bags, the only familiar objects in this strange place, were all that were tethering me to the earth. I was afraid to let go of them, or I would float away. Maybe across the ocean, back to Japan. Or maybe off the face of the planet altogether. Megan.
Hey, over there.
I was snapped out of my word by a cheerful, high-pitched voice. Got him. I turned my head and saw a short, blonde girl with perfectly coiffed hair waving at me. Hello? She ran over to me and beamed.
You must be the new transfer student, right?
Yes? How did you know that?
Well, your luggage was my first clue.
Oh, right. The girl giggled and held out her hand.
My name's Megan Kelly. I'm gonna be your roommate for the rest of this year.
I reluctantly set down my bags to shake her hand, and would you look at that, I didn't float away after all. I'm Maury, America, but I suppose you already knew that. It's nice to meet you. Megan smiled and clapped her hands together. We're gonna have so much fun this year, I just know it.
Come on, Maury, let's get up to my room. I'll help you with your bags.
Thank you. I fought back the urge to bow, reminding myself that I was in the United States with the name America. I handed Megan my smaller of my suitcases, and we began walking through the quad. Maury is my family name, by the way. You can call me by my given name. America. Oh, that's right. Japanese is one of those backwards name languages. That makes more sense. Actually, when I first read the email about getting a new roommate, I will remember thinking that America was a weird last name, especially for a Japanese person. But not that it's exactly a common first name either. Yes, especially for what? Hey, I'm from Japan. My name's America. Megan led me past imposing brick academic buildings, exceptionally tended lawns, and spacious courtyards. Grand Old Academy was certainly grand. It has grand in the title, so no doubt it's grand. That building over there? Sorry.
That building over there?
Oh my gosh. Coming through. I can't do it. Coming through. That was... In the next episode, I'll have a better Trump impression. Trust me. Coming through. I'm gonna make him sound like coming through.
Ah, how rude.
Who was that? Sexy man over there.
That's Donald, the biggest jerk in the whole academy. He transferred here at the beginning of the year, but he acts like he owns the place.
Because he probably does. I noticed that Megan had clenched her free hand into a tight fist.
And the worst part, his act is working. He's one of the most popular kids in the debate club, even though all he does is insult his opponents. And talk about building a wall around the campus. All that. He talks about his boyfriend Putin all the time. Blah blah blah. Trump and Putin, Trump and Putin.
Megan's face was flushed. She was breathing more heavily than was warranted by the stroll across the quad. She obviously harbored strong feelings for Donald. Eventually, Megan shook off her anger and returned to her cheerful baseline. Nearly all the students we passed waved at Megan or shouted a happy greeting to her, and she responded to all of them in kind.
So why did your parents give you the name America anyway? Did they always expect that you'd end up in this country someday?
It's actually a coincidence. In Japanese, America phonetically means delicate flower. But then why didn't they spell it America with the K?
Oh, neat.
I guess. There was a moment of silence. I wondered if I should say something to break it. I'm gonna tell her about myself. My family name, Mori, doesn't mean anything in particular, but it has a lot of history into it. It goes back to the 12th century. The 12th century, okay.
Wow.
Well, I can't trace my personal lineage all the way back to the founder of the Mori clan. But yeah, I guess it's neat. But I do have one interesting relative, Mori Arinori. Mori Arinori. He was the first Japanese ambassador to the United States. And I guess, in a way, that's how I ended up at this academy.
What do you mean?
Well, my mother is the current Japanese ambassador. She likes to joke that she only got the job because of her family name, even though she only married into it. It's not true, of course. She got the job on her own merit. She's brilliant and charming, everything else an ambassador should be. When she accepted the post and moved to this country, she asked if I wanted to come with her, or if I'd rather stay at a boarding school in Japan. It was a hard decision, but I didn't want to be an entire ocean away from her. I mean, I'm still a continent away from her. She's on the East Coast, and the Academy's obviously in the center of the country. Quite obviously, as I can just look in the background and completely tell this is in the center of the country. But it's better than being on the other side of the entire globe.
Wow, I'm roommates with the ambassador's daughter. I'm so lucky.
I blushed and shrugged. It's not a big deal. It's not like I'm anything special just because she is.
Are you kidding, America? You were accepted into GrandOldAcademy. That means you're absolutely special. Aren't you kidding, America? Your name is the name of America. So therefore, you're the coolest kid out there.
I guess?
I'm serious, you're gonna make a mark on this academy. I can feel it.
Yeah, you're gonna date you're gonna date Donald Trump. That's what's gonna happen. I couldn't help but smile a bit. It felt good knowing that Megan had so much confidence in me, even though I didn't have that much in myself. Megan continued her tour, her energy and enthusiasm showing no sign of waning.
That's the Keystone Dome, and that's the Independence Hall academic building behind it. Over there are the Green Mountain Dome and the Granite Dome. All that stuff.
There's sure a lot of dorms.
Yeah, those 50 of them.
50?
Well, most of them are
50? You know,
there's 50 of them.
yeah, 50 because there's 50 states. Don't you get it? Don't you get the joke? Look at the American flag. There's 50 stars. Well, and there's 50 dorms. Oh my gosh, that's so good. I never would have noticed that. Well, most of them are pretty small.
The Equality Dome only houses about 20 students, for example.
But the biggest ones,
Like the Cooling Dome, have over 1,000.
wow.
We'll be living in the Sunshine Dome, which is the third largest
And the furthest south on the campus. Well, Aloha Dorm is technically further south, but it's not part of the contiguous 48 dorm, so it barely... This dorm system sounded like it would be hard to get the hang of. They're not talking... They're just talking about states.
Sunshine Dome. Here we are.
Megan pointed an imposing L-shaped brick building that was accented with white columns and pink stucco. The nervousness that I had felt earlier was beginning to return. What if I didn't like my room? What if I couldn't find my classes? What if...
Marco, Jeb, hey guys.
I snapped out of my panic. By Megan's cheerful shout, my nervousness settled back down. I followed Megan's gaze and saw two students dressed in fencing gear, sparring on the front lawn of the dorm. The taller of the two lowered his foil to wave at Megan. Seizing the chance, the shorter student darted and landed a blow in the center of his opponent's chest with his foil. Hit! Huh, nice one, fool. I thought that said nice one, fool. It says, oof, nice one. The shorter student removed his mask, grabbed a bottle of water off the grass, and took a swig. Well, he was, in a word, he was gorgeous. He had beautiful brown eyes, delicate lips, now heart-stopping cheekbones. Somehow his hair was perfectly styled, even after being under his fencing mask. His brow was shining with sweat, and in the afternoon sunlight it looked like almost as if he was sparkling. That was a dirty trick, Marco. No, he saw the opportunity, and he took it, just like I told him. As he said this, he took his mask off too. Like Marco, he had brown eyes, but instead of a sultriness, this student's eyes were exuded warmth. Oh, his eyes exuded warmth. He wasn't exactly handsome. That's kind of rude, America. But his face had sort of an awkward charm to it. He reminded me of a puppy. Okay. His sweat a bit more. He sweat a bit more than Marco, but instead of making him sparkle, it matted his hair to his forehead. You're the best mentor I could ask for, Jeb. And you're the best student. They high-fived, as you could hear. Sunshine Bros! Imagine high-fiving and then just a beam of sunlight just pops out of their hands.
How long was that attitude gonna last, you two?
Huh.
And just how long is that attitude gonna last once you two start debating against each other?
Megan's comment was playful, and the boys chuckled. We've agreed that we're not gonna attack each other no matter how intense the debates get. Jeb's knows I've got his back, and I know he's got mine. They high-fived again. Sunshine Brothers. And who's this lovely lady accompanying you, Megan? I felt blood rushing to my face as soon as I heard Marco call me lovely, and good lord, that smile had a faint sparkle in it, and it was also on his cheek. Sparkling was also on his cheek, not just his teeth. That smile got me. I tried to formulate a response, but I couldn't piece together any words. Luckily, Megan came to my rescue.
This is Maury America. She's my new roommate.
Of course. It's nice to meet you, Miss America. Miss America. It's nice to meet you. Pleasure. I should give you a tour of... I've got it covered now, Jeb. Let's not overwhelm America on our first day. Right. Well, talk to you soon, America. The two of them redonned their masks, picked up their foils, and resumed fencing stances. Megan led me to the front room of the dorm. Front door of the dorm. They seem nice, Jeb and Marco, right? Yep, those two are inseparable. They're both on the fencing team, both in the debate club. They're the co-RAs of the Sunshine Dorm. My favorite dorm, to be specific. Marco's only a first year, but Jeb pulled some strings to get him back position. Megan held the door open to me, but I stopped dead in my tracks before entering. Wait, there are the RAs of this dorm? Yeah, what's wrong? But they're boys. Yes? The dorm's co-ed? Yeah, all the dorms at the academy are. Is that the problem? Are you sexist? My head swam back. Oh, my head swam. My head swam. Back in Japan, I never would have imagined living in a co-ed dorm. Relax, it's not a big deal. Each of the floors are still divided by gender. Girls on odd floors, boys on even floors. You know, that made me feel a little bit better, but still, I had never had so much as held hands with a boy back home, and now I'd be living in the same building as them. I've never lived with a boy before. My dad died before I was born. I don't have any brothers. I've never even seen a boy before this trip. Oh my. I noticed that Megan was looking at me with concern, so I tried to play cool. Yeah. No big deal. I know how to boy. Yeah. Trust me, America. You'll have a great time living here. She patted my shoulder with her free hand, looked deep into my eyes. I smiled. I felt encouraged. Word. Accepted. I took my first step into the Sunshine Dorm. The coolness of the high-ceilinged hallways. I took my first step into the Sunshine Dorm. The coolness of the high-ceilinged hallways was a welcome relief from the surprisingly warm February afternoon outside. Megan led me up 2 flights of stairs, and a bit further down another hallway. She stopped and pointed at one of the doors. "This is it." The plain wooden door was adorned with a simple dry erase board with Megan Kelly and Maury America written on it in neat block letters. Megan pulled an eagle-shaped keychain out of her pocket, unlocked the door. As an afterthought, she took one of the other keys off the ring and tossed it to me. I missed the catch, and it fell down the stairs, and I had to go run after it. 3 minutes later, I'm back up, and she says, "Here's your key. Don't lose it." I nodded and slipped the key into my pocket, making a mental note to get a keychain of my own soon. I followed Megan into the room. No, I corrected myself. Not her room. Our room. The room itself was fairly ordinary, divided roughly in half by the furniture placement. It was immediately clear that the right-hand side of the room was Megan's, since it was the only half that looked lived in. I was a little surprised to see how low-key Megan's side looked, going off what I've seen so far. Her bubbly personality combined with the expectations I had from the American movies I had seen. I expected to be greeted by an explosion of pink pillows, strings of Christmas lights, and glitter everywhere. But there is this image of there's this image of this man working out right there. It's just instead I saw decor that was businesslike, bordering on austere. Her neatly made bedspread was subtle, muted maroon. Her desk was organized without a single pen or piece of paper out of place. She did not have a couple of... Oh, no. She did have a couple of stuffed animals on her bed, but they somehow seemed to be sitting with a posture of dignified businessmen. The posture of dignified businessmen there for a meeting, rather than floppy friends. And instead of posters for bands, movies on our walls, there were only a few tastefully framed pictures of landscapes, and this man over here working out. The single exception was a pin-up style photo taped to the front of the wardrobes depicting a hunky boy lifting weights. Why? I looked at Megan questioningly, and she blushed. "Oh, that's, once you meet Paul Ryan and see him for yourself, you'll understand." Remind myself to make the thumbnail of this video in that image. As plain as Megan's side of the room was, my side was even plainer. A little depressing, actually, with those empty walls and bare desks. Megan seemed to be on the same page. Well, it's not like I just got here, so no duh, it's gonna be depressing. Don't worry, we'll liven up your half the room soon enough. Do you have space to pack any decorations? Oh, it'd be cool to have some Japanese posters and paper lanterns and stuff in here. No, I didn't bring anything like that. She seems like... That's okay, we'll figure something out. This is gonna to be your new home. That's okay, we'll figure something out.
This is gonna be your new home for the next 6 months after.
Oh, it's important to make it feel like a home. Okay, I think I'm gonna end the episode off here. See you guys in, in the next episode of Dating Donald Trump. Well, trying to date Donald Trump. Yes. See you guys in the next Trump date off.